All right, everybody. Welcome to Intro to Object-Oriented Programming today. Rather than introduce a new topic, I'd like to talk about a conversation that I had with one of the members of our class. Okay, and I realize that this online environment doesn't really lend well to questions, but so I want to take the questions seriously when I get them. So today I'd like to answer that question by writing a program. Okay, the question was basically this. The question was, how can I allow my program to create as many objects as it needs, right? So far, we have been creating classes and then going to the main function and saying new dog or new cat or new math. Okay, and those are the objects that we create. And the question was basically like, well, if I need to create a new movie night, am I going to have to go into the main method and change the main method every time I need to create a new movie night? And that seems wrong. It seems like I should be able to create objects from my classes, as many as I need to. Okay, so I would like to now give a little preview of what it's like to work with objects and classes in an application. So for the rest of today, I'll be writing an application and I'll be building some classes to be used by that application, and you'll see how I can use my application to create as many objects as I need. Okay, the application that we're going to create today is very, very simple. It's going to do 4 basic math operations. It's going to do addition, subtraction, division, and multiplication. Right? I'm going to create a class that does those operations, or one class that does many different kinds of addition, many different kinds of subtraction, and so forth. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in. First, let's build some classes. So I'm going to come here, let's create a new file. I'm going to call it, let's call it adder.cs. Okay, and inside here, public class adder. All right, and it's going to have a couple different addition methods. Public int add ints and int1, int2. All right, pretty simple, right? It's going to return 1 plus 2. Maybe we'll add something else, public int add ints, but this time we'll take in an int array. Okay, very good. Let's basically create a clone of all of these classes, except for they will be for the different operations. So I'm going to create a new class called subtractor. Subtractor.cs. Right, and I'm going to copy a lot of this into here, and we'll rename this to subtractor. And we'll call it subtract ints, and we'll call this subtract ints. Okay, let's real quick add our methods here to add the ints. Okay, we'll fill out the subtractor here. There we go. Okay, let's add a couple more classes, multiplier and divider. Looks like we have a little bit of a typo in our subtractor. Okay, finally, let's add our divider class. Okay, we've got our 4 classes now. We've got adder, it's got 2 methods, add-ints, or on 2 ints, or it's got add-ints on a list of ints or an array. Same with multipliers, same with subtractor, same with divider. Okay, these are very similar to the classes that we've created so far in this course. Okay, but now I would like to show you how we can use these in an app. All right, so I'm going to go back to the program.cs, and I'm going to say, first off, we want to ask them for lots of different operations, okay? So very first, we're going to say console.writeLine. What math operation would you like to do? Question mark. Okay, and then we're going to read in some input, console.read key, and then we're going to get that input. Okay. Probably need to give them a little more instructions. So I'm just giving the user their prompts now. And I think I want these to be indented, so I'll add the tab stop here. Okay, let's run just to make sure that we are getting what I think we ought to be getting. And I need to look up the console key documentation real quick. I think it's keyinfo.key, but why struggle? It's the key. We're checking to see if they pressed the A key. I hope that syntax is right. Nope. Okay, line 10 and 11, we're missing semicolons. Thanks, Visual Studio, for nothing. Okay. Console key does not contain console key info. Spell right line right every time. Okay. Okay, there we got it. So we now know that we are reading in a key. The console will react to a single key press, so we don't have to press enter. Now I'd like to write some if statements here to start creating some of our objects. All right, so if the user pressed A, then we're going to do addition. Else if user pressed D, we're going to do division. If the user pressed M, we're going to do multiplication. If the user pressed S, then we're going to do subtraction. And if the user pressed anything else, we're going to scold them. Okay? So I'm going to write some scolding code in here. That's scolding enough. Okay. And let's just add a temporary message in here to make sure that we're getting everything that we want. I'm going to say addition time. This one will be division time. This one will be multiplication time. This one will say subtraction time. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. I'd add a semicolon, folks, every time, every time. Okay, looks like our formatting is a little off. We want to make sure that the console key press is call your spouses back, everybody. Okay, we're here in the middle of fixing some of the formatting for our app. Okay, the console key press is on its own line now. I like that. So now this is where we need to start making some of our classes, okay? This is where object-oriented programming is very useful, because inside of these if statements during intro to C#, we would write a whole bunch of logic to go ahead and get all of the inputs and also do the math. Okay, so here we're going to create a new object from our adder class. Okay, so we're going to say adder a is equal to new adder. Okay, and just as a test, we're going to say a dot add 1 and 2. Store that in a variable. And let's write it out to the console. Add ints is the method that we're looking for. Okay, 1 plus 2 is 3. So we will use this adder class, but I would also like to write a new class that gets us our input. So I'm going to create a new class, and I'm going to call this input manager.cs. Okay, I'm going to say public class input manager. Okay, and this thing is going to be responsible for getting input, basically. Public void get input. Okay, maybe we should ask get number, get numbers. Let's do that. Okay, and let's say string operation name, and I would like to do a console.writeLine. What numbers would you like to plus the operation name plus a question mark. Okay, then we are going to get the input console.readLine. Okay, then after we input this, they're probably going to type a bunch of numbers separated by spaces or commas. We should probably do spaces because maybe some people will put commas in their number formatting. So I will now say var array of nums is equal to input string dot split. We want to split on the space character. And we want to say console.writeLine. Just as a temporary debugging statement, we want to say array of nums.length. This is how many numbers they chose to add. Let's add this back to our class here, to our program. So now I will say input manager IM is equal to new input manager IM dot, what do we call it? Get numbers. Okay. So we've got a little bit more work to do in this method, but I just want to run until right here. So let's go ahead and start debugging. Okay, never mind. Okay, debugging doesn't work for some reason, so let's run this. Let's go .NET run. Oh my gosh. Semicolons, people. Semicolons. Regular programming here. I'm no expert. Doobie-doobie-doo. Need to supply the operation name. Here we go. Okay, so we are correctly getting our list of 10 numbers here. We just need the input manager now to go ahead and change those into numbers and pass them back to our methods. Go to the input manager, get rid of our temporary line of code here, and let's get a new int array nums is equal to new int array, the size of array of nums dot length, semicolon. Now let's go for, let's loop through this array and let's take every string out and convert it to a number. This pulls out a string, and we'll do a convert to int 32. Okay, that should be all we need for our input manager. Okay, our add operation should be all done, hopefully. One plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10 is 55. Okay, so here's the deal. We are basically in the same spot that we have been all course so far. Our app is explicitly creating these adders or these math operations, but now what we want to do is we want to put all of this in a loop. And we want to tell the user that they can exit by pressing X. We'll say press X to exit the program. All right, now we'll listen for the X. and we will say goodbye. And we will say the exit condition has been met. We haven't defined that variable just yet. Okay, now here's the beauty of object-oriented programming. I am going to be able to add as many times as I want. I'm going to create as many adder objects as I want. Okay, I haven't explicitly said create a new adder with these numbers. So let's see this in action. Okay, and we screwed up here by redeclaring this variable, so we're going to take that declaration off, and we are going to try again. Okay, A, what numbers would I like to add? 1, 2, 3, 6. What operation would you like to do? I would like to add again. 7, 8, 8, 9. Okay. I am adding I'm creating lots of adder objects here, and this is the beauty of reuse of classes and objects. Okay, I can now create an unlimited number of adder objects. I can do this because my application is open-ended. I'm letting the user control how many times this line of code is added, whereas formerly we were writing programs that looked like this. Okay, so you can see here that there is one finite object in our entire program, and there will only ever be one. But because we have an application, there is an unlimited number of adder objects that could be created. It's all up to the user. We could start storing these, the results of these, or all of these objects in an array, and then at the end of the program, repeat back all of the results or whatever, right? We have in memory these adder objects, and we've given the user the ability to have as many adder objects as possible. So I'll go ahead and round out the app now. It's going to be pretty simple from here. Come in here and say divide ints nums to divide. Okay, do this again for multiplication and subtraction. Okay, I'm sure there's an error. Let's find out where they are. Subtractor does not exist. Oh, I spelled it subtractor. Okay, spelling, everybody. Okay, let's try it out. So I want to do a multiply operation, and I'm going to multiply 1 times 2 times 3. So that should be 6. 0. 3 times 4 times 5. 0. Okay, let's go figure out what's going on. Multiplier. Oh, I get it. So multiplier, this doesn't work because we're starting out with 0. So anything times 0 will be 0. So let's just do 1. Okay, I bet we're going to have that same problem with some of these others, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Actually, looks like we have not saved. I want to save here. Multiplier, 1 times 2 times 3 times 4, 24. 4 times 3 is 12, times 2 is 24, times 1 times 1. Very good. Okay, let's do divider. 6 and 5, 0. Okay, same problem. We have decided to start our first number by 0. Here I would like to say, let's start with nums to add the very first number. Okay, save that, try again. Okay, it's 0 because we're doing int division. It's a problem. Okay, hopefully this is very helpful to you in understanding how objects and classes should be used in our programs here, okay? We haven't done a great job of showing how they should be used. We've only been saying new, blah, blah, blah in the program.cs, but now we've got an application that does some stuff here, right? And it uses objects created from these classes that we've had, and it will create as many objects as it needs to satisfy the user's wants and desires. So like I said, this was brought to you by a question that one of the students in the class had. Please feel free to ask questions, and I will do my best to teach. Thanks.